Hello, and thank you for registering for this enablement session from SAP Partner Service Delivery. The session topic is blogging basics and best practices. Please note that the session is being recorded. In the recorded Connect session, your name may be visible to other people who are viewing the recording. If you have any objections, please disconnect at this time. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. If you experience any problems with the audio during the conference, please press *0 for operator assistance. I will now hand over to Richard Duffy to commence the session.
Great. Thank you very much for the introduction, Claire. And again, let me add my welcome to everybody and say thank you to you for taking time to join today's presentation. I can see a number of the folks who are on in the audience have recently joined me for the series of marketing enablement sessions that I ran throughout Europe and Asia. So a special welcome to all of you. And what I'd like to do in today's session is really continue the series of sessions that we have been running, fundamentally focusing on marketing-related topics. And if you think about it, one of the things that we have talked about in some of the previous sessions is the importance of marketing to you as partners. And the feedback we've heard from you is that you wanted us at SAP to deliver more enablement sessions focusing on this topic of marketing generally, demand generation, building campaigns, and some of the how-tos around marketing. And that's really where today's presentation fits in. So what is today's presentation about? Well, I'm going to focus on giving a little bit of an introduction to some of the concepts behind this whole process of blogging. And we're going to go into quite a bit of detail. I'm going to take you through some of the concepts. We're going to talk about some best practices. I'm going to give you a little bit of a demonstration of some of the specific things that I talk about. But fundamentally, today's session isn't necessarily a training session per se on some of the tools, because I'm not going to go into them in enough detail to really give you the skills and capabilities you need to be able to use these tools. I will introduce the tools to you, but then I'd be looking forward to your feedback to let me know if this is something that you would like us to schedule an additional session on, if you would like us to go into more detail about the tools that we're using. And the fundamental tool I'm going to focus on today, as we're talking about blogging, well, that fundamental tool we're going to focus on is going to be WordPress. So with all of that preamble now sort of stated, let's get into the session itself. And I want to give you a quick overview of the agenda for today. And fundamentally what I want to do is I want to cover a couple of key areas. In the blogging basics, I just want to set the expectation and get everybody on the same page so we all understand what the purpose of blogging is. Because for some people, you know, they're not quite sure whether or not blogging is something that's going to help them. And I'm going to talk about what the business value of blogging is, because at the end of the day, that's what all of this is about. It's about delivering business value to you as an SAP partner, and not just doing stuff because it's cool. So we're going to talk about the top 7 reasons why it makes sense for a business to start participating in this world of blogging. Then we're going to talk about some best practices. We're going to talk about, you know, what are some of the things that you should be using blogging to say, and also importantly, what not to say. Then we'll get into some specifics around the, you know, how to say it, who to say it to, when to say it. I'm going to, in the best practices, we're going to then talk about the WordPress platform, and I'm going to introduce you to some of the reasons why an organization might want to build their blogging on WordPress, and then talk about how you can take it to the next stage. Many Business One partners are actually rebuilding their entire web presence on top of WordPress, so we'll talk a little bit about why that makes sense to do it. Then we're going to cover off some next steps. We're going to talk about taking action and what you should do next once you've decided, yep, this is for me. Well, what am I going to do now? So let's then dive right into this. And fundamentally, I'm going to go back for 1 second and talk about the fundamentals of marketing. Many of you have been in some of my other sessions will know that I have used a definition of marketing, and that is marketing is getting people with a need for your product or service to know, like, and trust you. Now, the extension to that is so that they try, buy, repeat buy, and refer others to you. But fundamentally, it's all about building know, like, and trust. So you want to get them to know that your organization exists and that you have a solution which you take to market, which may be SAP Business One, it may be SAP All-in-One, it may be SAP Business by Design. So just a quick note on that, even though my official job title is the SAP Small Enterprise Sales and Marketing Programs Manager, and my official title is the SAP Business One Product Evangelist. Bear in mind, we're not going to talk about anything product-related in today's presentation. So everything I'm talking about today, and in fact in all of these marketing enablement sessions, is absolutely product agnostic. So, if you think about it, you want to get a prospect to know that you are in business and that you have a solution to their business problem. Now, that's just the first step, and there are many different things you can do to get them to know who you are. And by the way, just a quick plug for a session that we have done previously in these PSD enablement sessions, and that's the 7 steps to marketing success. If you'd like to learn more about that particular topic, please feel free to review that recorded session. We do go into a lot more of the specifics about the whole marketing topic there. But you need to get them to know you, but then once they know you, they're not going to buy from you unless they, first of all, like you, and most importantly, they trust you. So how do you do that? How do you build that know, like, and trust? Well, fundamentally, people will like you and trust you as a business when you help them. When you help them understand what it is that you're going to do to help their business, what you are going to do in detail from a solution perspective. What does your solution do? What's going to happen if they choose to implement your solution? What's going to happen in the implementation process? What's the advantage of the implementation process? So fundamentally, if you think about it, what people want is they want information. So people are coming to you, and people will come and consume your blog, and they will come to your website because they want to learn about what it is that your solution can do to help them and what's going to happen in the process. So if you think about it, you are actually in the information business. The more information you provide to your customers, the more likely it is that they're going to like and trust you. So that's really what blogging is all about. And if you think about it, why do people buy from you? They buy from you because they have a level of expectation about your expertise. But your challenge is to differentiate your organization from all the other organizations out there, not only offering an SAP solution, but also the competitive organizations out there offering alternatives to the SAP solution that you take to market. So your job is to prove to people that you are the expert. And not everybody is going to have the opportunity, or not everybody is going to be ready to engage with you in a face-to-face sales cycle. So, Pardon me. That being the case, blogging actually helps you to establish in the mind of your prospective customer and for existing customers as well, because don't forget, blogging isn't just about helping new customers to engage and interact with you. It's also a great way of getting information out there into the hands of your existing customers. Now, many of you, for example, are running newsletters. One of the things we're going to talk about is this concept of repurposing content. So many organizations now are actually tending to move away from the process of publishing newsletters, and they're tending to move towards utilizing blogs. But you will know what's going to work for you. The good news is that from a content perspective, any content that you are generating can be utilized through a number of these different processes, through blogging, through a variety of other social media platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Once you have that content, part of the skill, if you like, or part of the best practice of content management and having a content strategy is really about repurposing it. So, you're the expert. People buy from you because you're an expert. So what blogging is really about, it's actually about proving that you're an expert. Now, when I say, it's about proving that you're an expert, well, it's not just about showing off your knowledge, but fundamentally it's about understanding what your customers want, which is information, and making that information available in a format that they can understand. So the key to this is that if you agree with my statement that blogging is about providing information, and the value of information is that it helps you build this concept of know, like, and trust, then one of the things that you need to make sure when you are blogging is that your blog content is easy to consume and easy to digest. Now, in the past, think about where we were, for those of you who've been in the industry for a while, think about where we were 6 years ago. Go a little further back, 10 years ago, when you wanted to communicate with a prospective customer or an existing customer. What mechanisms did we have? Well, we had newsletters, printed newsletters, which we used to have to mail out, fold them up, put them in an envelope, put a stamp on the envelope and send that envelope out through the post. We may have had the opportunity to do face-to-face meetings. But nowadays, with all of these new technologies, it's become even easier to put that information out there. So anyone can publish information. So the secret is, with the fact that everyone can publish information, is that there is a lot of information out there. And the challenge for you is to cut through some of that noise, if you like, and establish your own identity through your blog. And the secret to that, and I know we've got people on the call who won't be blogging in English, so pardon my expression using plain English. I think hopefully everyone knows what I mean by that. You don't want to try and be overly formal in the way that you blog. You want to keep the techno speak to a minimum, unless you are blogging on a technical topic. But even then, when you're blogging, what you have to tend to do sometimes is you do have to try and aim, not necessarily for the lowest common denominator. So, for example, if you are blogging on a technical topic, do you assume that all of the audience does not understand any of the technology? Or do you assume that they know the technology intimately? Well, you kind of have to pick a midpoint and balance it out. So you need to keep that techno-speak to a minimum, but at the same time understand what your audience is expecting, and that's the key to the next thing we'll talk about with blogging around understanding your audience. So if it's easy to consume and easy to digest, what are we looking for? Well, from a blogging perspective, we're looking for authenticity. What do I mean by authenticity? People buy from people. I think that's a given. One of the things that Bill McDermott said at our field kickoff meeting at the start of this year, it's one of the top 10 reasons why people buy from SAP and from you as an SAP partner is because of the relationship that they have established with you. So fundamentally, the blogging that you do needs to be an extension of that relationship. So it needs to be about taking the way that you would normally speak in a conversation and putting that into print. So it doesn't necessarily, matter of fact, in our industry, as I said, people are looking for authenticity. So they're wanting to make a personal connection with you as a blogger inside your partner organization. So it's very, very important to be authentic and to talk in your blog the way that you would normally talk in a conversation. So that makes your life very, very interesting and very, very, if you like, very, very easy. Why do I say easy? Because when you're blogging, it's not about having to learn a new way of talking to people. Because a blog, in many respects, when you're writing your blog, it's a little bit of a one-sided conversation. But a truly effective blog will turn into a two-way conversation where you will invite people to provide feedback and engage them in a discussion. So talk more about that in a second. So then if you're sitting there thinking, all right, I kind of get how blogging fits into this marketing concept of know, like, and trust. But what are the benefits to the business? Let's say you have to go back to your business owner and you have to explain to them why blogging might be a good thing to do. Well, I mean, for me, I actually enjoy doing blogging. I find it's a lot of fun. But blogging is actually about business benefits. And what are those business benefits? Well, the first one is that it's cost-effective marketing. Why is it cost-effective? You can, if we put aside your time that's allocated to this and the cost of your time, you can get up and running with blogging virtually, well, not virtually, you can get up and running with blogging for nothing. You can go and establish a presence on a blogging platform absolutely free of charge. You can also then have that blogging platform automatically feeding your content into the search indexing tools like Google, again, free of charge. So it is a great cost-effective way of getting your message out to the market. So that's number one. Now, when I'm going through these top 7 benefits, these are in no particular order. So, for many of you, what I've got here is point number 4 or point number 5 for you might be the most important thing. But we'll talk about that because setting your goals for your blogging activity is one of the key things you need to do. So benefit number 2, educating your customer. Customers will buy from you and they will choose to buy from you versus buying from somebody else if you have taken the time to educate them as to the reasons why. And also when we talk about educating, remember, go back to my previous slide where I said you are the expert. What this education is about is giving them information and knowledge and understanding, but also showing that you have that information, knowledge, and can provide them with the understanding. So it is a logical decision for a prospective customer to choose to buy from you. So educating those customers is a key benefit of blogging. Point number 3, the provision of customer service. So if you think about it, there are many, many instances, and I don't want to just talk about the negative aspect of customer service, but there are many instances where larger organizations have gotten themselves into trouble because something has happened which hasn't necessarily delivered the best experience for their customers. So where blogging can help is really being able to put forward your view, your explanation. I won't use the word excuses, but your explanation of what's going on inside that business issue, or what you're doing to address a business issue, or even potentially what you're doing, even if it's not a negative situation, what are you doing to provide even better customer service? So explaining your new product offerings, rather than having the old traditional, if you like, mechanism of, you produce a brochure, you run some advertisements. Blogging can really help you get the message across about some of those new things that you're launching, new customer service initiatives. Point number 4, we talked about already, about marketing being about helping or providing people, or giving people with a need for your product or service the ability to know, like, and trust you. Well, that's where blogging fits in, very much around that like and trust. Point number, pardon me, I do have a little bit of a frog in my throat at the moment, so I do apologize in advance for a little bit of coughing and spluttering that I may do. I'll try and keep it to a minimum. But point number 5, one of the things that many organizations are wanting to do is they want to increase their search engine ranking, their organic search engine ranking. So organic search engine ranking is not the paid search that you get, but when somebody searches for your particular topic, your particular field of expertise, your product or service, that you come up in the top 1 or 2 pages of the organic search, which is non-paid. And blogging can absolutely help you do that. Why? Because if you blog on a regular basis, and here's the best practice tip, you should try and blog at least once a week. Okay? If you are blogging on a regular basis and your blog content is being search engine optimized, and we'll talk about how you do that very, very shortly, what will happen is the search engines love blogs. They love blog posts because blog posts are traditionally viewed as being very informative. And the content is fresh. And search engines like Google love fresh, informative content. So that's where blog posts can help you increase your search engine ranking. Point number 6. Again, it can help you establish yourself as a thought leader. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, thought leader, who, me? I'm not a thought leader. Well, guess what? In the minds of your customers, part of the reason why they choose to do business with you is because, as I said before, of your expertise. Now, your ability to articulate out your expertise, to be able to explain your expertise, and to be able to talk with authority on your subject matter will, by definition, start to position you as a thought leader. Thought leadership has a couple of advantages. The primary advantage is that it makes you the person of choice to go to when somebody wants to implement a solution that solves the problem or that addresses the business issue that you have established yourself as a thought leader on. It makes sense for them to go to you for the solution to the problem. So, establishing yourself as a thought leader, establishing your organization as thought leaders in your particular industry, your particular market segment is absolutely critical in terms of helping you get to where you need to be. So, it can be done. And of course, point number 7, what blogging can help do is it can help uncover new networking opportunities, new ways or new relationships. It can help you build new relationships with customers, prospective customers, of course. That's the fundamental reason. But also with other organizations, other like-minded organizations or other partner organizations who may offer complementary products or services that you can then build some kind of referral network around. So again, that's one of the key things in the 7 Steps to Marketing Success presentation. We talk about your lead generation trio being advertising, public relations, and referrals. So, this idea of blogging helping you build those networks that generate referrals is critical. Again, for the same reason, you become a subject matter expert, you become the expert on the business problem, you build an audience, and over time, people will then want to tap into that audience. So, it's not just good fun. There's a lot of great business benefits to blogging, and many of you who are on this call are probably already dabbling in blogging and may have started to see some of these business benefits. Now, blogging is more than just written words on paper. When we talk about blogging, fundamentally today's presentation I am going to concentrate on the written word on the web, but blogging is so much more. Blogging is communication. So blogging can include podcasts, it can include video blogging. So there is a number of different things that when you think about blogging, don't just think about the written word. The spoken word is also a key component of this. So let's dive down now. If we've talked about the benefits of blogging, let's dive down and talk about some of the best practices and think about what do you want to say when you are blogging, because there's a couple of big or top challenges that oftentimes people say, these are the things that stop them from blogging. And one of the top reasons that people are hesitant about blogging is they're worried about what are they going to say. So the answer to that, it's a little bit like public speaking. The most common, the thing most feared, more feared than death is public speaking. And my answer to that is, if you look at many public speakers, part of the reason why they are effective at what they do is A, they know their subject matter, and B, they know and understand the audience that they're talking to. So blogging is no different. You need to know your audience. You need to understand what it is that your audience is interested in. Now, I've put on this slide, the question should answer itself. What does your audience want to hear about? But for many organizations that I've spoken to, we have assumptions about what our audiences want to hear about, but we're not 100% sure. So how do you go through a process of making sure that you are talking about the right things? Well, in our social media training, and one of the things that most social media folks talk about as being step 1 in social media is to listen, is to spend time before you start engaging, before you start writing blogs, before you start engaging in social media. The first thing you need to do is to listen to what your target market are actually talking about already. So that's the same rule applies here for blogging. If you don't know or you're not 100% sure what you should be blogging about, what are the content topics that you should be blogging about, then again, I would encourage you to build a listening station. So what's a listening station? A listening station is basically using technology such as Google Alerts, which you can set up Google Alerts that will utilize the Google search engine to go out and proactively listen for instances either via blogs, via Twitter. You can look at video content that's out there. It can look at other people's web pages, but it will sit there and it will look and retrieve information about the topic that you've told it that you're interested in hearing about. So it will go out there and it will listen to all the conversations that are occurring out on the web about the particular topic which you think people will be interested in. And then it will feed that information back to you. And again, I recommend you use Google Reader, which is Google's, if you like, RSS feed reader, although it's much more than that. And you pull all the results of those Google alerts into Google Reader, and then you utilize that to present all that information to you. And that's a listening station. It gives you the ability to use technology to basically listen into all those conversations. In the past, you would have had to hire a media monitoring organization to track this, or you might have had to spend an incredibly large amount of time on this process. Well, now, thanks to this technology, you no longer have to do that. So that's why it's such an important component of any blogging strategy or any social media strategy, is to have that listening station that keeps you up to date with what people are talking about. So here's some seeding ideas then if you're thinking, well, okay, that's great, I get it, I'll build my listening station, but I want to get going with blogging. What are some of the things that you can think about? Now, there is a great document which has just been released, and I'm going to show you that in a little while, but it is from a guy that specializes in blogging. He's one of the world's leading experts on blogging, and he runs a website called ProBlogger, and you can find him at www.problogger.net. But they've just released a new ebook, which is about $49.95 US, and I've actually pulled some of these seed ideas from that document. Now, there's 50 in that ebook, but here's just the top 15, which I actually found to be very, very good as a starting point. So, why did you decide to start blogging? You know, what was it that allowed you to move, in and start doing what it is that you do? Why did you choose, or why did your organization choose the ERP space? You can interview industry experts in your business niche. You can talk about, the reality of running a business and how is that different from what you expected. So some of these topics assume that you are talking from the perspective of a business owner talking to other business owners. So again, some of you on the call may be business owners. Some of you on the call may work for somebody. Part of the advantage of this is that you can then go and you can interview other people inside your organization and take the results of those interviews and turn those into blog posts. Even the interactions that you have with prospective customers, the questions that they ask you, you can turn those into blog posts. So you can see here number 5, when you arrive at your office today, write down the first 5 questions that you get asked by prospects, by existing customers, and turn the answers into blog posts. Talk about what you're passionate about. Again, remember, blogging is about building a connection between yourself and your customers and potential customers. So they're interested to know a little bit more about you and your organization. So you can have guest blog posts. So different people inside your organization you can host it. So you could be, for example, the person who is the public face of your blog, but you can have different people can come and do guest posts on your blog and so on. Other examples, what did you go through as you went through the process of starting your business? Talk about where you've been on your travels. Who are your customers? What are those customers' industries? What are some of the issues in those industries? A day in the life of your business. all kinds of different things. What makes your business different? Talking about your customer service philosophy and what it was that helped you form your customer service philosophy, what you learnt along the way of being a business, because those are the kinds of things which are going to help, again, people build that connection and make them decide that they want to do business with you. So the process of determining what content you're going to have in your blog, I tend to find that that's one of the easiest aspects of blogging, because there are so many things that once you change your mindset and start thinking about every interaction, every question you get asked as a source of content, suddenly these things, well, I tend to find anyway, these things will pop up on a regular basis. The challenge is to come up with a mechanism for catching the idea when it strikes, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So let's go and talk a little bit about the right platform to use for blogging. And for me, speaking from personal experience, I use WordPress. Why do I use WordPress? Well, it comes down to three key things. Number one, simplicity. Number two, extensibility. And number three, cost. So let's talk about point number one, simplicity. To utilize WordPress, and you can either take WordPress, which is a piece of free software, and you can install it on your own web server if your web server is PHP 5.0 compatible, and it has the ability to have MySQL as a back-end database. You can install the WordPress blogging platform on your existing website. Many hosting providers provide WordPress on their hosting platforms. The other thing you can do is you can go to WordPress.com and you can establish a blog on WordPress.com, and it's incredibly easy. So, number one, it's simple. Number two, under this idea of simplicity, one of the things that many organizations struggle with is this whole process of content management. WordPress has moved from being just a blogging platform to being a complete platform on which you can build your own website, a full website with all kinds of functionality built into it. Now, many web developers, they will, and I'm talking about this from experience, from having spoken to a number of SAP partners. Many partners work with web developers who will say, hey, part of the advantage of working with me as a web developer is I've got my own content management platform. But a lot of those content management platforms are incredibly difficult to use. They're complex. So what does that mean? When you need to make a change, you've usually got to engage the services of your web developer, and that's going to push up your costs. So WordPress gives you the ability to run not only your blog, but a full website. And as far as I'm concerned, do-it-yourself rules, because it puts you back in the driver's seat as a marketing professional. It gives you control over the ability to do those updates onto your website, to do them quickly and easily. So on the topic of extensibility, one of the advantages of WordPress is that if you want to incorporate flash video into your website, if you want to incorporate search engine optimization, if you want to incorporate membership-only functionality where people have to sign up and sign onto your website with a username and password, if you want to implement a web store, if you want to implement just about anything you can think of that you might want to put onto a website, well, with the WordPress platform, there are these things called plugins which provide that functionality. What does that mean to you? You don't have to then sit down and write the complex web code that deploys this functionality. You put a plugin, you choose whereabouts on your page you want that plugin to put its information, and then you configure the parameters of the plugin. That's it. You don't need to sit there writing code. Of course you can if you want to. If you're good at writing HTML or JavaScript or building CSS style sheets and doing all that kind of stuff, you can still do that. But many people choose WordPress because they don't know how to do that, but yet they still want to have a feature and functionality-rich website. So let's talk for a second, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by simplicity. I'm going to dive across. I'm going to quickly give you a demonstration using my own website of the power, if you like, of utilizing WordPress. So bear with me for a second. I'm just going to share out my computer screen. So I'm going to just share my entire desktop for a second, and then I'm going to dive across here into Safari. So some of you may be familiar with my website, and this is my website, www.richardduffy.com. You might also be familiar with the website that I've built, which many partners are now deploying to help them promote and sell the SAP Business One starter package, and that's the Get a Great Start website. All of those websites are actually built on top of WordPress. So the mechanism for sharing that information for building those websites is the same. Now, as luck would have it, for some reason, my internet connection here seems to be struggling a little bit. I'm not quite sure why. Oh, there we go. So this is my website. So if you look at all the functionality here, you know, this little slide presentation, which kind of looks like it might be Flash-based. That's not. That's just a plugin. So, you know, this website, the entire website, everything from the navigation to all the pages, all the graphics, this functionality of cycling through my blog posts, the ability to embed video into a page, this capability of, for example, having a web storefront. And let me just dive into this for a second and show you the store. This storefront that is available, all of this functionality is provided by these plugins. So how do you manage a WordPress site? Well, it's very, very simple. You have the dashboard, the management dashboard, which you access just by being on the web and adding this WP-admin extension to the URL, and it logs you in to your dashboard. So this is where you go and you not only create your blog posts, but you also change your pages and create new pages. So you'll see on the left-hand side here, I have all these different functions, posts, media, links, but I also have pages. So if I click on pages, you'll actually see every web page that's on my website. So for example, let's say I've got a web page here that has my introduction to SAP Business One, and I want to quickly change that web page. All I have to do is select that page and click Edit, and now you can see here is my page with the YouTube videos embedded in it. I can edit it in a visual format, or I can click here on HTML and I can go in and I can start doing the HTML editing. Now, embedding video is incredibly easy. It's a matter of choosing in the page where you want to embed your video. You click Code. You then paste in what you copied from YouTube by right-clicking on the video on YouTube. Then you click on Code again, and that's it. It automatically puts in these tags, and your video is up and running. So again, the key to this is ease of use. Again, posts, the actual blog posts that you do. when you're ready to start writing a new blog post, and you can see here all of the different blog posts I've done, if I want to start writing a new blog post, I simply go in here and I say Add New. I give my blog post a title, My New Post, and I start typing. Here is my latest blog post. Now, here is the thing. You can even, of course, write your blogs in Word. You can write it as an email. You can do anything you want, and then all you have to do is just copy and paste it in, and when you're ready to publish it, you hit Publish. Now, you tag your blog content with categories. This gives you the ability to have it come up in certain locations on your website. And you also put tags on your web content. And it's the tags that help the search engine optimization work. By tagging your blog posts with these tags, that helps the search engines identify what this content is about. So you don't have to write the search engine optimization into your content. By using WordPress and using some plugins, which are little pieces of functionality, and I'll show you a couple of those in WordPress, it automatically does that search engine optimization for you. And you can even see down here, here is the search engine result preview. This is what's going to come up in the search engine when your blog post gets found. So it's automatically building that for you. But of course, you can go in here and you can provide a different result. So if, rather than it taking that from the actual blog post itself up here, you can go in and say, when this gets indexed by the search engine, this is the title that I want it to have, here is the description that I want it to use, and here are the keywords that I want this blog post to be keyword searched on. So again, what's this about? Making search engine optimization incredibly easy. So many people talk about search engine optimization as if it's some incredible, what's the word I'm looking for? Science or art. Search engine optimization is not, and I've got a session coming up on search engine optimization as part of these enablement sessions, so you'll get to hear more about that when I run that session. I'm just going to shut down my Skype there so those pop-ups stop coming up. And what else did I want to show you? Again, some examples of those plugins. If I click here on my plugin tab, you'll see all the different plugins that I have that I use on my blog or on my website. All kinds of different things, from tools to manage my backups, a product called a Kismet that stops people from posting spam comments onto your blogs, the ability to automatically give people the capability to share your blog posts, utilizing a bunch of different tools that are out there on the market. So again, you've got that there, the ability for people to be able to automatically click like on a blog post and have that shared via Facebook. All kinds of different things are here as these plugins. And then when you have a plugin, some of those plugins can add additional functionality here into your menu. So for example, my plugin that I use for doing backups, Backup Buddy, it adds its own option here into the dashboard and allows me to quickly and easily manage the entire backup and restore process of my website. So for example, you can see if I want to back up the database, do a full backup, or restore or migrate my entire website to another machine, all I do is I click a button, and you'll see that this plugin runs now in the background and takes care of all of that functionality. So again, not a training session, but I just wanted to take you back, you know, and give you some examples of what I mean by this point of simplicity and extensibility, giving you the capability to quickly and easily produce your website, produce your blog, and combine the two onto a single platform. So just bear with me for a second just while our presentation comes back up again. And I'll quickly dive back to where we were. That's a little bit too far. All right. So that's the main reason, again, why I utilize WordPress. Now, actually, I'm just going to show you one other thing because we've got a couple more minutes before we throw to our Q&A. If you just want to get up and running with a blog, what you can do is you can do what I've done and deploy your own website utilizing WordPress, or you can just go to www.wordpress.com, and on WordPress.com you can build your own blog utilizing their platform. And guess what? Everything that I was doing on my website, I can do here on WordPress.com. The only advantage is having your own website gives you a little bit more control over things like plugins, and gives you a little bit more flexibility. But if you just want to make a start on blogging, I would recommend that you go out and take a look at WordPress.com. And all you have to do, it's very, very simple. Get started here, click the button, sign up for a blog, and you're ready to go. Okay? So let's dive back into our presentation, and I'll wrap things up for today's session and throw open for Q&A. So just give us a couple of seconds just to load back up again. Now, hopefully, if you're thinking about some questions, there's a couple of different ways you can ask the questions, and Claire will explain that to you in a second. But don't forget that you can use the Q&A in the Adobe Connect session, or we're going to open the phones in a second so that you can ask questions over the phone. So let me just dive here and talk about next steps. So let's assume that you're now sold on the idea of blogging and you want to know, what do I do next? Well, the best thing that I can suggest to you is you need to just make a start. Don't spend too much time thinking about the whole process, but spend some time. Why? Because with all of our marketing, the key to this is strategy before tactics. So think about, what do I want my blog to achieve? What are my goals? Choose your platform. Am I going to use WordPress.com? Am I going to put my WordPress on my own website? Am I going to redesign my entire website and put my entire website on WordPress? Determine a calendar. What is your editorial calendar? Am I going to post a blog weekly? Am I going to post blogs twice a week? Am I going to do it twice a month? Whatever. Determine your calendar. Pick your topics. Think about, what are the things that I'm going to blog about? And then, no offense to our friends at Nike, just do it. Pick up your pen and write. And in another session, I'm going to give you some best practice hints and tips on actually writing blog posts. This is one of the topics that we cover in the marketing course that I run. But the basics of the process are: write an outline, pick up your pen, and then start writing the content. Don't edit the content while you're writing it. Just write your content using your outline as a guide. Then put it aside for a day. Come back the next day, then do your edits on your content. Ideally, get somebody to proofread it to determine whether or not it makes sense, and then publish it and start your next one. So, if you need help, richard.duffy@sap.com. I'm incredibly busy at the moment, but I'm always willing to help you out. It might take me a week or two to get back to you, but I am always willing to help. Again, a great resource that I would point you to is www.problogger.net, and again, that ebook which has just come out, which is called Blogging for Business. All right, it's $49.95 US, and it's got some incredibly great step-by-step hints and tips on what to do. So with that, what I would like to do is I would like to thank you for joining today's session, and let me throw back to Claire, who's going to open up for a Q&A session.